When was the last time that you were truly seen? You felt truly seen and heard?
The behaviors that came out through it was being a rebel. Anger is the end result of either fear or sadness.
Anybody else seeing me? I was not seeing myself.
When something changes in me, I didn't know that something changes externally.
Until unless we deep dive within ourselves, we really don't discover ourselves.
Yeah. Like you're ready for the world. There is this hollowness inside, and that is where the loneliness creeps in. The easiest thing to do is to blame somebody else for our problems. If I have all these people in my life, why am I still feeling alone?
Because relationships form a huge part of our life.
Yeah.
Okay, and relationships are responsible for most of our sadness.
I've noticed that people who have crossed 45 are not interested in their emotional well-being. Say what may, okay? I think I love the Gen Zs because they have a mind of their own. You are surrounded by people, but still you might be feeling very alone. The real question is not about how many people you're surrounded by, but the real question is, are you truly being seen for who you are? Most people build walls around them as they move to a higher position. So the more successful you are, there is lack of trust. And this is also because of how we have seen success. And today we are going to be exploring on these topics. So I welcome you to the episode 3 of Disconnect to Connect. And today we're going to be talking about why loneliness is an epidemic and why do we struggle with true connections. And with us we have Shilpi and I am Priya, and I welcome you all to the 3rd episode of Disconnect to Connect.
So, Priya, you talked about true connections and we talked about loneliness in the 2nd episode. I want to ask you a question. When was the last time that you were truly seen? You felt truly seen and heard?
So probably I will take an example from my 30s, okay? I don't want to give you an example for the last 3 years because that is when a lot of things changed for me. And when I say a lot of things changed for me, it's from a point of view of the awareness that I had, okay? And also the understanding of these concepts, to be very frank. But before that, I'll tell you how or why I felt I was not being truly seen. Life was very difficult for me, and what I mean by that is I wouldn't connect with people in my school, okay? So I would not participate in any sports. I was interested in singing and sort like that, so I would participate in that. But there was not a lot of connection with people because I would feel that, and I'm talking in 1990s, right, when I was in school. And kids then as well were more interested towards everything external. How am I looking? Which boy is looking at me? Okay. And the saddest part of my life is I went from a co-ed to a girls' school, which was completely horrific for me because I felt completely disconnected with who I was. See, when you're in a co-ed, girls, boys together, you have boys as your best friends, which is unheard of in a girls' school. And I think it is the same to do with boys' school as well. And I think even at that age, people are just trying to impress other people. So felt completely unseen over there, which even I didn't realize then that I was getting depressed because of this, but I did. So a girl who would score around 70 or 80 in a subject started scoring around 30 and 40, barely passing through, which was a clear sign that I was simply not able to align with the school that I was in. And then this has happened in multiple situations and scenarios, okay? So I'll give you a few examples, and I'm sure there are many people who have gone through the same thing. Another situation was probably at work. I'm a very creative person. So there's a lot of art involved in my life. I used to write a lot of poetry. I used to write maniac letters to my parents when I was in 1st and 2nd standard. My mom still has them, okay? And they sound absolutely funny at the moment. But for me to think an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old writing 2 A4 size sheets of letters to your parents, like think about it. So I think I was very evolved then itself, okay? And if you think I'm boasting, then yeah, I am. Like I knew myself, so was a harm in that. So I literally couldn't connect with a lot of people. So the people I got connected with mostly were people who are elder to me. And when I say elder, they're elder by good 10 years, 15 years, okay? Because you see, they have evolved. Their way of thinking is different. Their way of thinking is not like a 15-year-old or a 19-year-old. They're thinking like a 29-year-old. And it was easier for me to connect with them than to people of my same age group. So that is with respect to school and work. Now, home as well, it was very difficult for my mom to understand why am I writing one statement as an answer for a 5-mark question, because of which my teacher would give me 1 mark and not 5 mark. And my thought process was, I'm giving you the right answer. Why do you want me to write all the ifs and buts around it when I'm giving you the right answer? So there was a lot of there's a lot of instances like this where I felt that nobody really understood me. Now, when I felt nobody really understood me, what happened was the behaviors that came out through it was being a rebel, was being aggressive, was being angry. So, I want to bring in another point over here. We have children who are short tempered, right? We have children who are aggressive, who can throw stuff and, create a nonsense. You need to understand that anger is the end result of either fear or sadness. If these two emotions is what creates anger. So if you see a person being angry, rather than reacting to that anger, be very conscious to understand that this person is wanting to express something else, unable to express that, and hence it's coming out in the form of anger. So I think it was until about 2000, no, I think until about 2015. Ah, I think that is a good timeline. 2015 was the end of people not, or I not feeling that people, not understanding me or not hearing me out, because I started doing my inner work since 2009. Like, there was a point in my life where I was so unhappy and I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. So my thought was not to end my life, because I am self-obsessed, okay? So my thought was to how to correct myself. What do I need to change in me? Because I think when something changes in me, I didn't know that something changes externally, because it was back in 2009. I did not know words like shadow work or inner work or none of those sort. But the only intention was to understand what is not working out for me and what I need to change in me in order for me to get to a place where I am happy, where I am at peace. So this was my intention, and that is how the work started. So I have been a work in progress. I think I'm still a work in progress, because I think I learn something new every day. And I don't think we need great teachers to learn. I think we can learn from anybody. We can learn from a cart vendor outside on the road. We can learn from an animal. We can learn from anything. So if you're open to learning, I think we can learn anything. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it was until about 2015 which got me to a place of, I'll tell you another thing. Not being not being seen and not being heard also pushed me to get to a place where I am manipulating, where I'm lying, where I'm hiding. And there is this whole universe that I have created for myself, wherein I have every account of all the lies that I have said, all the manipulations, all the people that I have said what to. And you see how complicated life is? And I remember words really have power. I think I was I think this was back in 2007 or so. I told you, right? I'd done something on my wall in my room which says life is simple, complicated. And now when I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking for me to even say that to myself? And every client that I have worked with, the reason why it becomes easier to work with people is because I have gone through that road. I'm not sitting here and preaching by, reading books or learning from somewhere. This is my life's journey. So I know if somebody is feeling desperate. I know when somebody is feeling angry. I know when somebody is feeling anxious, and I don't even react to what they have to say. The first thing I ask them is, what is really happening? And when I ask them what's really happening, then is when the true story comes out. So yeah, that is to answer your question. What about you?
Truly seen, I think now I am seen as a rebel in many ways. I wasn't, it was like conditioned to be a good girl. So, what is a good girl? Who doesn't raise her voice, who doesn't express her dissatisfaction, who doesn't express her frustration or anger, who deals with her own sadness and problems, and obeys everything that is being told to her. So, yeah, that's the way I grew up. And I was a very resilient child, but I never felt that I was seen because my confidence was not at that level that it is today. And I think more than anybody else seeing me, I was not seeing myself.
Thank you so much for mentioning that.
Yeah, I was not seeing myself. And today I see myself and I feel happy about it. And people talk about self-love. I think seeing yourself is one kind of self-love.
Yeah.
But I'm not consumed in self-love because sometimes self-love can also turn narcissistic.
Yeah, very obsessive and narcissistic.
Yeah, it's a thin borderline there. So I like to see myself. I like to observe myself. So I think the time I started seeing myself, I felt I was being seen by everybody else.
How you feel inside is how the world reflects.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel liberated. And it's very inspiring. It is transforming for me also because that took a lot of introspection, Priya. Without introspection, I don't think so. Like you said, deep dive. Until unless we deep dive within ourselves, we really don't discover ourselves.
Yeah.
We are living such a surface life.
And just to add to what you said, I think when we are not seen as we are, so there's a couple of ways of looking at it. Okay, one aspect is that you are put in. It's like somebody puts you in a washing machine the minute you were born, and then puts in all the ingredients like the washing powder and blah and blah and blue and water and everything. So it's like behave like this, feel like this, see like this, all of that, right? And then they churn it nicely, and by the time you are a teenager, you're completely done, like you're ready for the world, right? And there is this hollowness inside, and that is where the loneliness creeps in. So you see, the reason why we might feel absolutely alone even when we are amongst the people who know us for a very long time is because of that conditioning, because we have been taught, don't laugh too loud, or don't do this, or don't do that, and let's say we have not listened. Let's say we were a rebel child and we did not listen to any of those conditionings. But when we were being ourselves, somebody would not have reciprocated that in the right way. And when that reciprocation doesn't come in the right way, then we also condition ourselves. So we cannot blame anything or everything on the outside world. So we cannot blame everything on our parents or teachers or people that we know. We need to blame ourselves as well. And the easiest thing for us to not do is to blame ourselves. The easiest thing to do is to blame somebody else for our problems. And that brings me to another thought about escapism. You see, people when they are alone, they escape. And what I mean by that is, you're feeling lonely and then you want to make yourself busy with other things. So you
Distracting yourself.
Yeah.
Not addressing the loneliness.
Yeah. So you will go to groups, you will go to resources which will make you feel less lonely. And those resources are always not so healthy. And what happens because of that is, you're trying to, like, it's like you have a deeper problem, but then you're just looking at it from a surface level. You're trying to put a bandage on it. But remember that it is just a bandage. It's like you shoving shit under a carpet and it's going to lay there. It's not clean, right? The shit is still there. It's going to stink. It's going to dry, and then it's going to stay there. And you are not worried about cleaning it. That is how loneliness. And you will not even know how it creeps into your life. You will not even...
Priya, here I want to bring in one aspect of loneliness. Is that when we talk about loneliness, is it about being without social connects, or is it about the lack of happiness when you're with yourself? Because a lot of people don't like their own company.
Yeah.
When they have to be with themselves, they don't know what to do.
Yeah. And that is the loneliness that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not the social company. Like, you might have 10,000 friends.
Yeah.
And you might go out with those 10,000 friends. But then, even in that crowd, you are you're just not being yourself. First of all, you are wearing all these masks that we usually wear, and you don't feel aligned with any of those people over there, but you're just there because, I'll tell you the most important thing. You're there because even though it is very painful, it is a familiar situation and you're okay with familiarity.
It's
So
like that comfort zone.
yeah, so we spoke about comfort zone earlier, right? And you're okay being in that comfort zone even though it is absolutely painful for us. And that is where awareness steps in. That is where you need to ask yourself as to, if I have all these people in my life, why am I still feeling alone? This reminds me of a situation, okay? This was back in 2016 when I was working in an organization. The client asked me, how can you stay alone, Priya? What do you do? Like, don't you get bored? And it's like, I cannot stay alone.
I know.
Okay? My mom has asked me this question, how do you stay alone in that big house? Don't you feel alone? My sister is like, I cannot stay alone. And I'm like, you have no idea what I do. You have no idea the amount of fun that I have staying alone.
That's crazy. It is.
Yeah.
People can't fathom this kind of statement. Staying alone and being happy and doing fun.
And I always tell my clients who are still with their parents, especially with respect to girls, right? We are at home until we get married.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So our parents, sad part of our society is that you don't go stay alone now. You get married and then you do whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
But they forget the fact that a girl is in a very secure, safe environment, if I may say so, not always, at home. And when they get out, they're going to another house and they have more responsibility. They have a completely different identity, and she needs to shift into that identity, and she needs to own that identity and become that person. And she's not spent any time by herself. She's not gotten any time to understand what are my likes, what are my dislikes, what is going to trigger me, what is going to make me feel a certain way. Do I like being this way? Do I like being that way? No. That is one of the reasons why, in India at least, we have early marriages, so that girls, it's a very sad fact. The marriages happen early so that girls don't get the time to think about these things. I'm sure there is a saying in Hindi, right? Some years and khulla sand or something like that. Like, women who have crossed 30 have not got married, we have a very bad reputation. Because they feel that we are untamable. And I ask all the women out there, why the fuck should we be untamable in the first place? Like, why should we be tameable? Are we an animal?
I'll give you an example over here. This reminds me, I was having a debate with my mom. She told me, oh, you were such a nice child when you were younger. Now you're not like that anymore. I said, what do you mean by that? Oh, you answered me back so much. I said, I just expressed my opinion and my idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if you find it offensive, I can't do anything because now I have grown some wisdom. So I have my ideas, my opinions. No, but then this is not the way you were. I said, okay, fine. So you're a gardener. She's an avid gardener. She has a green thumb. Huh? So the plants are very happy with her. So I said, okay, you plant something in a pot. Okay, it grows. You cut it. You prune it. You nurture it. You add manure. You add DAP and God knows what not, eggshell powder, banana leaf powder, everything you're adding for the plants to grow. But where are they growing? Within the pot. And if they branch out, you go chop them, because you want this to look beautiful.
Yeah.
It is your creation.
Yeah.
And you feel so happy, you feel delighted, you feel, you marvel at the growth of the plant because you're nurturing it. And the plant cannot say anything when you're cutting it off.
True.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because you want it to grow in a certain
Yeah.
way. But it's not the same, it cannot be the same for a human being.
No.
Imagine if that plant was in the wild, in the wilderness. In the wilderness, the plant would have grown in a different way, in a free way.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have anybody chopping, cutting, pruning.
Yeah.
It would have gotten the nourishment from Mother Earth.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. So you cannot have children as potted plants and expect them to grow the way you expect them to. And that is where all the disagreements set in, that conditioning that you were talking about, girls, because girls have to be in those boundaries and they don't even get that time or scope to even deal with themselves, what they are, who they are, what they want to be, how they want to be.
Yeah.
It is not a priority for anybody.
Yeah.
And the girl also gets conditioned that it shouldn't be her priority.
And it is not a priority for them as well, and that is a sad part, right?
Yeah,
Because they're never led to express how they feel. And all of these things that we're talking about is what leads to feeling very alone even when you sit by yourself. And the reason why it is difficult for people to sit by themselves is because, think about it, you're living with a million demons inside of you. Right? And when you're living with a million demons inside of you, how are you going to sit with yourself? Because you're listening, you're feeling, you're thinking. Forget feeling. I think people rarely feel. They're thinking, you're analyzing, you're over analyzing, you're trying to identify what the problem is, you're trying to identify the solution. And the sad part is you're doing all these things by yourself. And the worst part about this is your life is already so limited. So anything that you think, anything that you analyze is coming from that limited space. So how do you think the result of all those things are going to be? And the more saddest part is nobody teaches us any of these things.
That's not a part of growing up.
So we go to school, we learn mathematics, we learn languages, we learn what are those mathematical subjects in engineering?
Algebra. Oh, in engineering?
Yeah, you had all those.
You were the one who was pursuing engineering.
I'm a dropout in engineering. Do we have any engineers over here? What is those mathematical subjects in engineering? Trigonometry,
Geometry.
and all those shit. Where do you use that in your life? Like where? Rather, if you teach a child how to deal with finances, how to deal with emotions, don't you think they'll become better human beings? Better adults? And you know what? The people that I work with, and this is a very sad reality, okay? I've noticed that people who have crossed 45 are not interested in their emotional well-being. They're not interested in their emotional well-being.
They are not aware, Priya, that it is an important aspect of physical well-being.
Yeah, they are not aware, hence they are not interested.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't understand that they are the ones who has teenage kids.
Yeah.
They are the ones who are struggling in their lives. Because, say what may, okay, I think I love the Gen Zs because they have a mind of their own. They know what they like, what they don't like. They're very clear about it. They know that I don't have to slog my ass for 20 years in a school and a college in order for me to earn X amount of money in a month. Because they're very creative. And they're creative because we are so emotionally broken that we have not been able to give that emotional support for them. So all the parents of the teenagers I'm talking about, because they might be of our generations or a little beyond us. So they have not been able to give that kind of education or emotional support to them. And it's not even the emotional support, okay? It's more about the understanding of where they are coming from. And because that understanding is lacking, they make decisions for themselves. We tend not to listen to them because we are working from the old paradigms of how we were raised and how our parents raised us and our generation. So we fail to understand where they're coming from, and because we fail to understand where they're coming from, even though we are available for them, they are not getting the support in that intensity that they really need, and because of which also they feel alone. So this is like a Pandora's box. Like literally. And this also leads to how they are with themselves and all the relationships outside. So if you see kids now taking drugs, if you see kids now going clubbing, if you see kids now not informing their parents where they are going, that is because they have this feeling that my parents are not going to understand what I want to tell them. And even if they understand, they will put 10 conditions. 12 baje se pehle ghar aana. And I'm not saying that these conditions are wrong, okay? But how are you saying it is what matters? Because we talk to a teenager or a child like they are a child. We fail to understand that they have brains. They can think for themselves. And I'm talking about like a 4-year-old child, like a friend of mine, Arun, you know him. His kid, okay, she's so intelligent because the parents don't teach her or don't treat her like a child. The parents treat her like she's another adult. And because of which there's more depth in her being, there's more understanding in her being, there is more, what do you say, there is more of a personality that she has than that is, dumped onto her.
Yeah. And from here, I remember I was having a conversation with my daughter. She was 14 then. When the phases of lockdowns, in one of the lockdowns when it opened up for a few days, she and her classmates were not meeting. It was all reduced to online teaching. And some of the classmates decided that they're going to meet in a restaurant. Okay. And she told me that I want to go and see my classmates in a so and so restaurant. I said, sorry, I won't be able to allow you to go to a restaurant. I don't think so. You have come to that stage and age where I would want to allow you or permit you to go to a restaurant and meet people. Okay, because I don't know who all are coming, how they behave, who are they, I know nothing. Okay, you're just seeing them online for classes, and I understand that you need to have the social connect and meet your classmates, but I don't agree to this. And then I had a debate with her father, and he said that, oh, nowadays children meet in the restaurant, it's fine, let them go. And I said, no, I cannot. As a mother, I'm concerned about her safety. And then he said that, okay, I will go park my car outside and I will wait for her, let her meet her friends. I said, this doesn't solve the purpose. The purpose is to draw the boundary for her to know that at this point of time, she will not be allowed. Okay, and she was mighty offended, mighty offended. I don't know if I was not able to tell her or convey the message to her nicely in a right manner for her to know that as a mother I'm concerned about her safety. That is why what is stopping me from sending her.
Can
or
I
permitting
add
her.
something to
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
I think that is where I say communication is not done right. I'll tell you why, okay? People don't know why we are saying what we are saying if we don't tell them the real reason behind it. For example, you told your child not to go, but your actual concern was that you're worried about her safety. So, setting the context, telling them as to, hey, listen, this is my concern. This is what I'm worried about. This is what is stopping me from, letting you do this. That is going to help them connect with you emotionally.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is what
yeah,
is going to
yeah,
help
yeah.
them understand that, oh, where is my mother coming from? So when they understand that, they'll be ready to listen to what you have to say.
True,
So
true.
rather than telling what you want to say, so I want to add another point over here, okay? And I have experienced this firsthand from my parents, and I'm sure many of them have experienced this from their parents. Our parents just say, no, you cannot do it. They don't say the actual reason behind it.
Yeah.
Right? And the actual reason cannot be said when your child turns around and says, why can't I do it? Because when a child says, why can't I do it, then that becomes, oh, you're talking back to me? So that hits the parent's ego, you see? So why are you creating a situation? Because you're the one who created the situation in the first place as a parent, right? So when you become aware parents, when you become conscious parents, when it's called as conscious parenting, right? So when that happens, what you need to do is set the context, tell them what you're actually feeling before even telling them what your decision is.
Yeah, true. That is the reason. That day it was a heated discussion, but then later on I said, okay, I want you to watch a movie with me. We watched Mom, Sri Devi's Mom. Okay, she watched the whole movie. I said, now you understand why I'm worried about you. The day you're able to handle yourself independently as a grown up adult woman, you will be going everywhere you want to. Okay? But I am worried about you, and that is the reason I don't want you to go anywhere unsupervised because you're still young.
Yeah.
And that's the day she understood and she accepted, and I could see that anger fizzle out. So as a mother, I was like, oh, okay, fine, I made a point.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I did that in retrospect. But like coming to all of the discussion that we are having, Priya, it is very evident that in every aspect of life, the spiritual quotient is working so
Yeah.
evidently,
Yeah.
so strongly, we don't realize it, whether it's parenting
Yeah.
or any kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Because relationships form a huge part of our life.
Yeah.
Okay, and relationships are responsible for most of our sadness,
Absolutely.
depression,
Yeah.
or happiness.
Yeah.
Okay, come what may, how much ever materialistically successful you can be, but
yeah.
if you're not happy in your relationships, you can struggle for happiness.
Yes.
Okay, even the relationship with yourself, my relationship
Absolutely.
with myself, and
Yeah.
that is where the happiness of being with oneself comes into play.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that spiritual quotient plays everywhere. As a parent, we have to understand from a very spiritual aspect.
So
But we don't really
yeah, we don't.
work in those terms.
Yeah, so let me simplify it, okay? It is when people hear the word spirituality, they have many understandings of it.
Yeah,
Okay?
perceptions.
Yeah, and the perceptions are very wild and weird at the same
Distorted.
time. Okay.
Totally distorted.
So what we mean by spirituality is being aware and being conscious in this context.
Yes.
So as a person, when we can let go of those emotional baggages that we have been carrying, if we can, it's like, it's like a room that we probably use for dumping stuff. So let's say we move into a house, we have a spare room. When we walk into the house, that room is nice and bright and clean and everything. So what we start doing is, okay, let me dump stuff into it because I'm not using that room. You dump and you dump, and even though you want to clean it, you don't go back to clean it. So what I mean by that is you keep suppressing all of your emotions, right? And that is the dumping that happens. You suppress and you suppress and you suppress, and then you get to a point where you don't know where to start from to start working on these emotions, to start unpacking them, to start understanding them. So what is going to happen, and how does a dumped room look? It's filled with cobwebs, there is no light coming in, there is no air in that room. So when somebody enters that room, it's so suffocating that you enter back. And think about it, you're living in that garbage, you're living in that dump, you are that dump. So what does it take for a person to actually understand that, okay, I have dumped myself enough with garbage, now how do I step out? And that is the one of the main reasons why Disconnect to Connect was curated, because you see, it is very, your environment defines you. The 5 or 10 people that you are around with, you are going to be like them.
Yeah, yeah.
So questions about, when you start asking questions, you need to ask questions like this: who am I surrounding myself with? Are these people visionaries? Are these people have this intention of doing something big in their life, or are they people who are just sitting and cribbing? I would say, even your friends for that matter, what kind of friends do you have in your life? Are they somebody who will talk about their in-laws and their work troubles and themselves and those kind of things, or do you have friends who are talking about, dude, we need to explore this, we need to do this, we need to learn this? So the kind of people that we have with, and that is where, true connection, like all of us starve for true connections. I know we met some time back, but it grew so organically for us to have this kind of conversation in the first place. And that is because there is no ego. There is that openness that, okay, she's bringing something onto the table, let me listen and learn. I'm bringing something onto the table, let me listen and learn. And that only happens when you have this awareness within you that these are the kind of people that I want to be with. These are the kind of learnings that I want to have.
But that requires a lot of introspection and unbiased introspection.
Yeah.
Because people fear to do an introspection.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to see the flaws in them. They only see flaws around them, outside
Because
them.
that's more easier, right?
That's easier. So the day I think an individual will be able to find the flaws in themselves, work on themselves, be introspective, only then the change will happen.
Yeah.
Without that, the change cannot happen. So the choice of people, the environment you surround you, because certain things you cannot negotiate.
Yeah.
You're born in that environment, or you're born around those people.
Yeah.
But there are situations where you can choose that I want to be friends with this person, I don't want to be around this person. Because those choices, I think, come with a lot of awareness, conscious ability to choose,
Yeah.
and to exercise the will to choose.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we exercise our authenticity, we are not pushed by some kind of
Yes.
conditioning that,
Yes.
oh, I should please that person and be with that
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Only then. But that introspection is the first step, and I think the most difficult to step into that.
Yeah, and I just want to add another point over here. So let's say a child or a teenager who's gone through all these things, when they become an adult, and when they, let's say, start their work, and when they get into roles which is leadership in nature, which is way showers in nature, how do you think these guys are going to be treating their team members? Forget the team members. How are they going to be treating their own business? How are they going to be reacting when things don't go their way in business? You see, there's a lot of breakdowns that happen. I was a business consultant for almost 5 years. I have worked with a lot of businesses, a lot of business owners. And one of the primary, I'll give you an example of this client. I joined this organization, and the first batch of clients that I got, she's a gynecologist. She's a well-known gynecologist. People from Dubai come down to Chennai to get treated by her. Okay, she's brilliant and she's a beautiful soul. Now, even though we connected for business consulting, we never had any business conversations, because the first call that I had with her, which is called a discovery call to understand about her business, there was a lot of things happening in her emotional body. Like, she was so misaligned with who she is and who she needs to be, and she's a single mother. The work, she was so confused and she was all over the place. And trust me, Shilpi, I have not spoken to her anything about business but about her life for 18 months. 18 months. We used to meet every month, and I would go with this intention that this woman has paid for business consulting. Let me make her do at least one thing. Let me just at least help her with a business model or with her marketing. And here she is talking about her life.
I think that's what she needed, probably.
That is what she needed. And I was like, if a person is feeling this way, how am I even going to get her to do something, right? So let me just sit down and listen to her. And I was not doing what I'm doing now, right? And all I did was simply listen to her. And she sent me a message 2 days ago where she said that you helped me break my family legacy. You helped me create my legacy for myself. And if that wouldn't have happened if it was not for you, because you're the first person I opened up and spoke about these things. And she's had a very difficult life, okay? And you see, true connections happens primarily when you're vulnerable, when you're ready to say, hey, you know what, I don't like this, hey, you know what, I don't know about this, I don't feel right about this, or I feel great about this, right? So being vulnerable is one of the cornerstones of not feeling lonely, connecting with those people who are aligned with your energy, and not and having those true connections, because there are so many people in the world who don't have anybody to talk to.
You're absolutely right, Priya. But again, I would like to emphasize that more than having somebody to talk to, which is extremely important, it is also very important to be in harmony with oneself.
Absolutely. It starts from there.
Yeah. And I have always felt that we are blessed with that kind of intelligence and ability to work on ourselves.
Yes.
And we need to take the responsibility to work on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
The day we do so, I think a lot in our life will change. The people we choose, our happiness quotient, our satisfaction quotient, how we take success in our life, how we perceive relationships, everything will change the day we start working on ourselves.
Yeah, and I think it is high time we start doing that. Like, if we are alive on earth at this point in time, like, I don't know how many of us or how many of you the listeners are aware of this, but this is a very important time on earth. Like, all the old paradigms that we have been stuck under, right? Patriarchal society, not respecting women, industrialization, everything is going to change because we are in a very transformational period. And it is not about the people, it's the planet that is transforming, it is Mother Earth that is transcending. So, I had sent out a newsletter in the month of Jan where I said, guys, buck up. If you are not going to work on yourself, it worked until now, but it is not going to work anymore. Okay, it's going to be like universe is going to throw you off the chair and ask you, work on yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be lying there and go deeper and deeper and deeper in a situation which is much more messier than what it is right now. So I think it is now. I don't even want to use a statement, it's now or never. No.
So I am so
Just
glad
now.
that disconnect to connect is happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So here is what we are going to do. We're going to give you a little experience of a sound healing and breath work. Okay. So let's experience this, and then we'll take you to the next step. So Shilpi.
Yes, over to me. So, slowly assume a meditative position in your mind, in your heart, and your body. Wherever you are, feel comfortable and let yourself loose. Just drop your shoulders, maybe arrange your legs, just loosen up a bit. And bring all your attention to your breath. And observe how beautifully the air that you breathe in from this universe flows inside you. and how equally beautifully it flows outside of you. Observe the pattern and the rhythm. You take a long, deep breath, imagining the breath is traveling through your spine, surging up like a fountain, and you breathe out through your mouth. Once again, take a long, deep breath, imagining your spine to be the track of your breath. Take a long, deep breath. When you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in love and inspiration, compassion from all around you. And when you breathe out, you're exhaling out all your worries and anxieties, insecurities, anger, frustration. Let's do it once again. Breathe in love and inspiration. Breathe out all your worries. Now we will do counted breaths. Take a long, deep breath and hold it inside you for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. Continue this breath for 5 rounds while I play the chimes for you. Just allow the sound of the chimes to calm you while you keep breathing. Now we will do 2 counts. Follow me. Through your nostril. Take a long deep breath once again, and now it will be 3 counts of exhaling. Finally, we will do 4 counts of exhalation. Take a long deep breath. Relax. You can go back to your normal breath. Sink in the feeling of these breaths that you have taken and exhaled. Feel how your chest and your heart feels right now. You have oxygenated your lungs. Relax and you can go back to your normal breath.
So if you like that, let's thank Shilpi for it. Thank you so much. And if you like that, there is this and so much more happening at Disconnect to Connect. So I want you all to remember that loneliness is not about being with somebody else or not having somebody else to be with. It is about, are you truly being seen? So today, if you make a decision that I need to be truly seen for who I am, if I want to get into my authenticity and if I come into my authenticity, who are the people who are going to continue staying with you? Reflect on this. And Disconnect to Connect is a beautiful place wherein you can create those true connections. It's a place where you can find like-minded people. And this is just one of the perks of you attending this retreat. So it is in July 24th to 27th. So make sure you sign up and you be there, and I will see you on the other side. Thank you. Thank you, Shilpi.